Good morning everyone, it's Kat and I am back today to put some makeup on. I've done half my face. I've done foundation, concealer, powder, a bit of bronzer, brows, and I want to finish it off by using some of the new products from this Kaleidos collection that's just launched. So this is the Smokey Nostalgia collection. It's a 90s sort of grungy inspired collection. When I look at this sort of butterflies and dark lace and all that kind of stuff, I think of like the movie The Craft. I grew up in the 90s, so this is quite nostalgic for me. So the 90s for me was, I was a 4 to 14 pretty much. So I wasn't wearing black lace and sort of grungy stuff, but I definitely remember it a lot in movies and sort of culture. So this is a cool collection in my opinion. So in the collection, we've got some new Cloud Lab lip clays. I love this box. I think this box is gorgeous. I don't even know what it is. It looks like a fish with an exploded head. Is that right? I don't know what's going on, but I like it. It looks crazy. I love the colors. I love the sort of browns and purple tones. It looks shiny. I love it. I love the colors of the tubes. So sort of each box set has different packaging colors. So for example, some of the past sets have like green packaging or sort of pinky nude packaging. I've lost one there, I don't know where it is. So you can buy these in the set or you can buy them individually, or you can make your own set and choose colors from the whole range. I am always excited to see more of these because I really love this formula. I will arm swatch and lip swatch these in a few minutes. Then we have two eyeshadow quads. You can see the boxes. One's a little bit more purple, one's a little bit more brown. They both have the black lace design, and the actual palettes are material. So you can see the sort of satin butterfly flower design underneath, which is covered by a black lace. This, of course, it is material, so it could get dirty, but I feel like this sort of design anyway is probably very easy to wipe down and probably hide mess anyway. So those are the two color variations. There's one that's more brown. This is what I'm going to try today. I might come back tomorrow and check in showing you this one, but it's essentially 3 mattes and one very shimmery shade. Mine did crack in the mail, so I have repressed this so it doesn't look as neat and beautiful as the next one. So that brown one was called Cold Brew, and this gray one is called Black Jasmine. And again, it's very, very dark. So you've got some nice grays. One's more of a warm gray, one's more of a blue gray, and then you have a matte black and a very, very shimmery silver. Not my kind of color story, but definitely vibes the theme going on. And I know some people love these colors and find it hard to buy in this current market. So yeah, if you vibe that, they've got it for you. Now the quads are quite different for Kaleidos. They have brought out 5-pan palettes before, or larger palettes, but not the quad format. So it's looking a little bit more mainstream than what they've done before, but it's an interesting sort of direction they're going in. Something that they also haven't done before is bring out blushes like this anyway. They've done, I think, sort of bronzer contour trios and also highlighters, but not so much blushes. Now you can see that again, they have that lace design on the box and also that satin and lace material on the packaging. The colors also sort of correspond to the colors inside. So there are 5 of them. Unfortunately, these don't have names on them. So when I show them to you, I'll have to put names on the screen because I haven't matched up the boxes to the names and it's a bit confusing. But let's run through the blushes. So in this purple packaging, there is this really, really vibrant pink. Now this looks super vibrant and scary, but I used to use a blush like this almost every day and I loved it so much. So we'll see if this one matches up to it. Then in this color story, which is more pinky brown, we've got this beautiful brown. It's very sort of orangey brown blush. I'm curious about this one as well. I think this could be really cool. In the red packaging, this one's awesome. If you've got deeper skin, oh, look at that. That'd be awesome as an eyeshadow. I think that'd be beautiful as a blush on a person with deeper skin. I think this is a gorgeous addition. I'd love to see more brands bringing out this sort of tone of blush, blushes don't always need to be vibrant pink. Just putting it out there. This is a really cool color. The two that I'll probably wear more on a daily basis, we've got in this pink packaging, a bright coral. I'm going to tip it down because this is quite vibrant. It's sort of hard to see straight on. It kind of gets washed out with the light, but there we go. And the one I'm most excited about also has this sort of pink packaging, but it's this vibrant orange. This is the kind of blush I like to wear. So this is going to be my go-to. All right, I'm going to insert some swatches now and then I will do my makeup. The first blush is the brown one. You can see it applies quite nice and evenly with one coat. And I clean off the brush between swatches. Then I go in with the pink blush. You can see it's very sheer, so I had to do 2 coats. And I forgot to mention as well that all of these blushes are matte, which is quite true to the 90s vibe. Then we go on to the coral. Again, it's quite sheer. The orange one has a bit more pigmentation to it, but it's not really bold and clownish. You do have to build it up a little bit if you want it bold. And the most pigmented is the red. It applies nice and evenly, swatches beautifully. Then we have the brown quad. You can see how nicely these swatch. It's almost like buttery eyeshadows. And the shimmer is gorgeous. Look how gorgeous it is applied with your finger. The grey palette is equally as gorgeous swatched, so it's very, very smooth. The black, oh my God, look at that black. The silver shimmer is also really pretty. It is a lot more bold and opaque than the shimmer in the brown quad. Now we have the Cloud Lab Lip Clays. Skinship is like a caramel nude. Cold Smoke is a deeper brownie nude. Smeared Rouge is a really interesting, it's like a pink toned red, but it is quite dark on the lips, but also quite vibrant. And Cognac is more of like a brick brownie red. All right, onto my makeup now, and I'm going to use the palette Cold Brew because the brown tones really speak to me. I love brown eyeshadows. If I go a smoky eye, I love a smoky brown. So that's what I want to use, and I'm going to use this new Ella Cosmetics brush set. This is the That's How I Roll 12-piece brush set. I was sent this recently, and I can't wait to use it. I love Ella Cosmetics brushes. And they've got a whole variety. So this is what I'm going to be using. I will tell you the numbers as I go, but that's what I'm referring to. And shout out to Ella Cosmetics for sending me sugar because that is the way to my heart. All right, as per usual, I'm going to use my MAC Painterly Paint Pot as my base and this sort of angled fluffy brush, which is the E24 by Ella Cosmetics. So I always cover the lid fairly well, but then any excess I have on the brush, I just run really quickly on my lower lash line. I find I don't really need the eyeshadows to stick super well to the lower lash line, but just a bit of excess. I forgot to mention that when you do first open these, it has a slip that tells you sort of how you use the eyeshadow if you want to use it in a sort of standard way. So you have base, diffuse, accentuate, and radiate. So I'm going to walk you through roughly what I do because these don't have names. I'm going to start with this, so sort of set my crease a little bit. I'm probably going to pack this on the lid, blend it out a little bit with this and put that in the outer corner and maybe even use it as a liner today. All right, I just put this E19 fluffy brush in and it is quite powdery, so I feel like they're going to blend well, but they are a tiny bit messy. So I've just tapped off a lot of that. I don't want to start too heavy. Probably tapped off too much, to be fair. So this is a nice sort of base tone. It's just a smidge darker than my skin, so it's a good sort of natural shadow color. Look, I was going to straight away go in with a shimmer shade, but I actually think it would be nicer as a topper. Just looking at it, it's a little bit sort of chunky, sparkly. I feel like instead of just all over the lid, it would be nice just dotted as, like it said, a sparkle sort of shade. So I'm just going back in with that base color and putting it all over the lid. If I need to apply the shimmer shade with my finger, I can, or I can go back in with a bit of glitter glue to really make it stick. But this is a really nice sort of just everyday matte eyeshadow shade for me. You can sort of put this on with a bit of mascara and off you go. Excess, I'm just gonna run on the lower lash line. All right, with an E25 brush, I've picked up some of that sparkle. You can see that it is quite chunky. See how it applies. Oh, it's actually very beautiful. Very subtle, but very pretty. I really like this for an everyday shimmer, just putting it out there. This is the sort of everyday shimmer I'll use. I'm just going to turn down the brightness so you can see it a bit better. Again, you can probably make this a lot more intense putting it directly on a sticky base, but this sort of everyday sparkle, I love. I love, 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 love. But it is very, very, it's just like a twinkle. There's not much, there's no base color that I can see. I'll tell by the swatches, I haven't done them yet. It's just like a twinkle and it's quite like dispersed glitter. There's a little bit of fallout, but I think that's really pretty. Just wiping off that brush on my Sigma switch, I'm gonna use the E25 again. So I'm just going in with that diffuse shade, so the second darkest brown. This would be a good brow color for me as well. So I'm just putting a little bit of that in the outer corner and just into the crease. And I'll blend this out with a bigger brush in a second. And just, again, excess on the lower lash line for a little bit of definition. I actually really love this quad. This is a quad I can see myself using on a daily basis, which is what I love. I love, love, love easy makeup that looks good and is easy to apply. All right, just because I can, I'm gonna use that same brush. I've just wiped it off again and I've got that darkest brown, being very careful because I know it's quite pigmented and you can pick up quite a lot. It's quite a soft eyeshadow. I'm just putting a tiny, not tiny bit, I'm putting a bit in the outer corner, not taking it to the crease too much. I'm just intensifying that outer corner just because I want to use all shades. You can see it's beautiful. Applies really nicely, really rich. Might take a tiny bit in the outer corner. Going back in with the E19 and I'm just going to blend that out. I'm also just using the palette mirror. It's very good to do your eyeshadow in. It's a nice clear mirror. It's big enough to do your eye makeup and super easy to hold. Shadows aren't doing me any favor down here, but that is the lighting for you. Just out of curiosity, I'm going to pick up some of the shimmer on my finger and see how intense it can get. So it's definitely, you can definitely get a lot more intensity if you apply it with your finger. I sort of like the twinkle effect for a daily sparkle. This is probably a little bit too much for my daily wear. All right, I'm using the E29 angle brush and I'm just going to do a little bit of a wing with that darkest shade. Again, super soft. Look at it pick up. And you can see it does disrupt the pan. You've got to be careful. There is a bit of kick up, but they do apply really nicely and blend really nicely too. Bit of fallout, but that's all right. I think it dusts away pretty easily. Just sort of stamping it along the lash line, again, just for some definition, but nothing too bold. That worked really nicely as a liner. So it definitely is pigmented enough and stays where you put it enough to look like a nice liner shape. And you didn't need to build it up because it was nice and pigmented. I'm just gonna blend this one out a little bit. Just got a brown Nabla liner, so I'm going to just put that on my waterline because I don't like that fleshy color personally. All right, bit of mascara. This is just the Hourglass Caution Extreme Lash Mascara. It's just a mini size. Big difference, big difference. All right, so that's the eyeshadow look. Very simple, quick, easy to do. Shades were very effective and they apply really nicely. A little bit soft, a little bit of fallout, but if you're a bit careful and you tap off your brush, it shouldn't be an issue. Why is the thing looking very blue? I'm happy so far, and let's move on to the cheeks and lips. All right, I'm actually thinking I might do a different cheek on each side because I do want to try out two of them, but then I might like layer them and mix it up to make it look a bit even towards the end. First one I really want to try is this orange. It is my jam. I have a fancy Hakuhodo brush, which is the J6530. So if this doesn't apply it well, I don't know what will, but I'm picking up a little bit, not too much because it is very bright. I'm gonna tap that off. So I've tapped off a lot of it and we're just gonna put, oh, I love these colors. It's like vibrant, but this is my, like people go for bright pinks and I get it, but on my skin tone, these sort of bright oranges are what really sort of, I find suits me. It actually looks fairly coral. I don't know why, but just blushes on my face tend to lean very pink. So even if it is straight up orange, it tends to look still a little bit pink. And again, I'm just gonna clean that off. And I wanna show you the pink because again, I used to love this type of blush. I had a Stila one that I think I still own because it has such a like special place in my heart. So I've picked up some, I've tapped a little bit off, and let's see how that goes. It's actually not as scary as it looks, but it is definitely more of a cooler toned blush on me, which I don't really love these days, but you can see that it looks scary, but on the face, it actually does settle down to being like it's pink. It's obviously pink, but it's a beautiful sort of uplifting pink. So we have orange and we have pink. So cooler toned, warmer toned. I just prefer the warmer tone, but I am going to go in with a little bit of the pink just to mix them together. Oh, that's a little bit bright. And a little bit of the orange on this side. Lots of blush today. All right, what I'm gonna do now is lip swatch all of these because I love these. These are some of my favorite lip products and I want to lip swatch them all. So I'll just start from the lightest and go through to the red. The first shade is Nude 07 and it is this sort of browny, yellowy nude, which I love. I love these colors. I haven't worn this yet, but it is definitely more caramel compared to my natural lip tone. All right, I normally love these colors. I think on camera with my makeup looking a little bit like cool tone, silvery, pinky cheeks, this looks a bit funny. But when I do wear a lot warmer tones like gold eyes, more bronzer on the face, this sort of color I love. So yeah, I don't think it suits this look, but I think it's a beautiful color and I will definitely get use out of it. Just doesn't suit what I'm currently wearing. Oh, that one actually had a name. It was Skinship. Interesting. So like kinship, but skin. This next one is Nude 08 Cold Smoke. Oh, it sounds cool. It's a brown. They do have a really cool brown in another pack. I might do some swatch comparisons after I do the lip swatches. Oh, this is like chocolate. It's like a milk chocolate, beautiful shade. All right, I love this shade. It's like a cooler tone brown. I think the mahogany shade in the other set, I'll have a swatch comparison on the screen. I think that one has more orange tones to it, but I love this. Again, I don't think it suits the blush, but I think it's a beautiful shade. I don't think this lighting does it much justice either. I've just turned up the brightness a little bit because I couldn't get the color showing up very well. I think it looks a lot more red toned on camera. In person, it's got like a plummy tone to it. So I feel like, I don't know if it's my makeup clashing or the current lighting, but this is beautiful. All right, the shade DE08 Smeared Rouge. This is a very dark red, which is beautiful. Yeah. All right, this is an epic lip color. I do think, again, it's sort of similar to some reds they have in their collection before, so I'll have some swatch comparisons on the screen, but this is epic. It's a bright, almost like magenta-based red. Let me see, actually, if you want to know what sort of colors it has in it, I find the best way is to put a little bit on your finger and rub it in, and you can sort of see what color tones there are. So that has like a really bright pink tone to it. So I'd say it's almost like a vibrant magenta, but just really dark. On the screen, it sort of looks like where there's a bit of shadow, it's looking darker, and where it's catching the light, it's almost looking like vibrant red. It does look a lot more even in person. It's just, I feel like it's so bright, it's tricking the camera a little bit. But this looks like a shade that might stain and might fade down really well. Little bit of a stain going on. I actually really like that color in itself. All right, the last one is DE09 and it's the shade Cognac. It's this dark sort of reddy brown shade. Oh, hello. It's like a terracotta. All right, so that's more of a brown toned red. I would say it's like a brick red, it's like a wine, but instead of having like purple tones to it, it's more of a brick sort of terracotta tone, which I think is really beautiful. And it's very, very 90s. This is sort of like the 90s red sort of vampy lip color. So I think these are really appropriate. If you're not familiar with this formula, it is like a mousse that you put on. So it's like a silicone sort of mousse that looks very matte straight away. And as it dries down, it becomes transfer proof, which is great. So it's currently doing that. I'll let it do its thing and I'll do like the kiss test. But what I love about these is they're comfortable because they don't dry down like set powdery matte. They still have a little bit of movement to them because of that silicone base. And they also don't transfer. So it's easy to wear throughout the day. If you do eat, they can sort of wear down a little bit. You just wipe them off and apply them again. But I do think the key with application is to put like one coat on and just leave it. If you try to build it up too much and you're taking your time, it can start to sort of get a bit chunky because half of it's setting, half of it's being moved around. So as it's setting, I don't press my lips together, otherwise it can look quite patchy. I just sort of let it do its thing and it feels quite set. And I'll do the kiss test. So nothing on my hand, and then like, look, just a little bit of a rim of where that's still setting, but it's very good. So it stays quite budge proof, but still quite comfortable with that beautiful blotted matte effect. So I love these lip products. I've loved them for quite some time. So I'm glad to see them bring out some more shades. All right, so that's my try on for today. I will check back in using the other palette and another lip product and a different blush tomorrow, and I'll give you an update if I've got any notes about how this is wearing. So let's cut to that. All right, this is the next day. I had some audio issues, so I'm going to talk over it. I use the grey eyeshadow quad, I use the brown blush and Skinship lip color. It looks a lot better with this makeup coloring. I don't know if it pairs better with the blush, but you can see it doesn't look as jarring on my skin tone in this lighting or with this makeup. I do want to mention that even though the eyeshadows did apply quite nicely, they were very, very dark and very, very blue colored. So I only stuck to the two lighter shades, and it's probably way too blue for my preference. So also the shimmer was transferring into the crease a little bit. So there's that. All right, how do I feel about this collection on first impressions, and also with a history of being very familiar with Kaleidos's formula? So firstly, I want to say I really like the theme, even though it's not my vibe and I don't really like lust after this sort of vibe. I think it's a really cool theme, and I know it will hit a lot of the right notes for a lot of people out there. So I think it's nice to see it. This box, like, they often bring out some sort of accessory that goes along with the collection, and you can buy this set in the pack. I'll have some prices on the screen, as well as some prices on the screen of buying the items individually. I do find that this little box that you get with the mirror and the little compartments, I actually find them quite handy. I've got another one from a past collection on top of my sort of chest of drawers, and I keep like jewelry and hair clips and stuff in it. So it is quite handy, and even though it's cardboard, it is quite sturdy. In terms of the eyeshadow palettes, look, normally I wouldn't like material covered makeup because makeup can get quite messy, it can get quite dusty, but I feel like these feel quite sturdy, and they feel like they're going to wipe off pretty easily. So I think it's quite nice, and it's very suitable for the vibe of everything. I love this brown palette. This is definitely an everyday brown palette for me. I can see myself just using the two top shades sort of on a daily basis for a quick look. The formula is very nice. It's very typical Kaleidos, nice and soft, nice and pigmented, and easy to apply. Just be a little bit careful of fallout and you'll be fine. I do like to see them shift to this sort of smaller format. I'm liking smaller sort of capsule eyeshadow palettes these days rather than large ones, and I do like seeing something a little bit more subdued from them because they have done color for a long time, and I know that's something they're known for, but I feel like if they can bring out more products like this, they'll widen their audience and have a little bit more variety in their collection. I also really like the blushes. They apply quite nicely. They give a nice effect on the face. Of course, all shades probably won't suit my skin tone, but I like that they brought out 5 and there is a nice variety of shades in here. I think they're really, really beautiful. So I also on first impressions really like these. Lastly, I'm always a fan of the Cloud Lab lip clays. I love the formula and I do think they bring out really flattering colors. Even if it's a tone or a shade that you normally wouldn't wear, they tend to pick one that's really flattering. I think the only downside to this particular 4-pack is that there are some repetitive shades amongst their range. There are slight nuances, they're not identical, but they give the same sort of overall vibe. So for example, I've seen a lot of dark reds in this range, but no bright reds. So I guess that's just sort of their color preferences. So I'd like to see things sort of change up a little bit, but I do think these shades represent the sort of 90s gothic alternative sort of vibe really well. So I think they're very fitting for this collection. So I'm actually really happy to see Kaleidos sort of evolve into a new sort of direction. I think they're always going to do color and bright and all that kind of stuff. But personally, I'm sort of excited to see them tackle a few sort of I don't know, moments in time when it comes to makeup inspiration or like sub-genres. I think it's a smart move and I think it's a little bit more approachable and a little bit more everyday wearable than some of their past sort of makeup collections. So I really like this direction. So thank you so much to Kaleidos for sending me this collection to review as per usual. I really appreciate it. And I can't wait to put that brown eyeshadow quad in my top drawer so I can use it on a daily basis.